This face of makeup, even though it looks kind of cute here, was an absolute hot mess to shoot. It was noisy outside. My neighbors were doing construction. The baby, she was taking stuff off my table like my sponge and throwing it on the ground. It was absolute chaos. And then things started falling apart, but I pulled it back together. So let me show you how I did it. I started off with the Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover in shade N03. I personally love this foundation so much because I can use it like a concealer and I don't need to use two products. It also has a really nice finish. It's kind of a satin, natural skin looking finish. And I think that that's part of why, even though this is a full coverage product, it still manages to look very natural and skin-like, but just very perfected and kind of airbrushed. So I put this all over my face, starting from the center and especially focusing under my eyes and anywhere that I had some discoloration, and really just blend out towards the edges of my face. And up to this point, you know, things are working out pretty good. Things are looking pretty good. Things have not started falling apart. But today was just one of those days. Things just started going wrong. So what I like to do oftentimes, and especially with fuller coverage foundations, is use a sponge to kind of pat everything in and really make it melt seamlessly into the skin. Next, I took the Chanel bronzer, the Universal bronzer, put that all around the perimeters of my face, kind of on the high points to give it a little bit of color and dimension, especially after using a full coverage. It can kind of flatten things out, and I always run this down on my chest to blend it all together. Now here's where things started going very wrong. I used the Merit Vision Flush Balm. Was it Vision Flush? I don't remember. Beverly Hills cheek color. And this stuff is beautiful on bare skin. But when you try to layer this over a foundation, it lifts it up and it moves it around. And I didn't really notice this until a little later in my makeup, and it was really bad. I haven't really run into this because most of the time when I've used it with the Merit stick. So at this point, I went and I set my face with some Coty Airspun, making sure to tap out any creasing under the eyes, and I really set the face pretty heavily because as it's warming up, I'm enjoying a little more powder than I normally do in the winter. And I also went and I set over my cheeks as well where that balm was, because I wanted to put another blush over top to make it pop a little bit more, because the powder blush has a little bit of shimmer. And so again, it adds more dimension. I was laughing and smiling because my daughter was coming over and saying hi. But it was right around this point that she decided to run off with my sponge, which made this interesting to try to fix later on. She's a stinker. Total stinker. Whoever said to film outside, I don't know if this was a good idea. Anyway, so this is where things got even worse. I went in with my MAC Hush Tones blush because I wanted to amp up the color of the blush, also not realizing things were separating as badly as they were because I was using a tiny mirror and I couldn't fully see. Not only that, but for some reason, the Merit Flush Balm, even though I set it with powder, it still stayed so rich and creamy to the point where it grabbed that pigment and it just created a big mess. So I had to like try to wipe it down. It was just not fun to deal with. So I decided, well, I've already got it on one side, so I've got to put it on the other now. So I was a little more cautious with this side, a little more light-handed because I didn't want it to grab as strongly as it did on the first side. So then I went and I tried to tap out the edges with some powder, right? Thinking that this would solve my problems. Sad to say, it did not. But I still didn't know at this point. So I put on my MAC Painterly Paint Pot because I wanted to prime my eyes. Then I went in with the Jones Road The Best Eyeshadow in dark brown. And I wanted to put this very close to my lash line because I wanted to do kind of like a daytime smoky eye. And with this, I also created a slight winged shape. And I knew that I would be covering over this, so I didn't worry about making it too perfect. I just considered it an underpainting. But this is where I realized things had gone horribly wrong. I started looking at the texture of my skin and realizing that my Flush Balm had broken down my makeup. It was patching apart on my face, and it looked terrible. I knew that I would have to fix this, but I was going to come back to that after I finished my eyes. So I went in with my Chantecaille, the luminescent eye shade in Elephant, which is like a shimmery taupe gray kind of color. Blended that out, left a little bit of space around the brow bone. Make sure everything's even. And here's where I went back with a little bit more of that Danessa Myricks just to kind of patch things back together. This was just like such an unfortunate makeup day and a huge lesson that the Merit Flush Balm does not play well with others. So at this point, I decided I could go ahead and continue with my LA Girl Gel Eyeliner. I love this stuff. It's like $7 at Target, and it lasts all day. It's super duper dark, and exactly what I wanted for this look in particular. Now I'm going to do my brows. I put on some Got To Be Glued. See the baby playing in the back. She's having tons of fun. I have water out there for her to play with and buckets. She will sit out there all day. Now that my brows are up in place, I use the NYX Lift and Snatch in Ash Brown to create hair-like strokes. The one thing I've learned from using the Got To Be is that it actually kind of leaves my brows looking shiny underneath, so I've set that down with Airspun, and that really helped. Next, apply some Maybelline Snapscara in the waterproof for some extra eye definition. I love this stuff. It wears really well, it doesn't smudge, stays on all day, and especially good for playing out back with the kiddo. And to finish things off, I used the Fitglow lip liner in the shade Buff, put that all over my lips, and then I did a pretty good swiping of the Revlon Super Lustrous lipstick in the shade 415 Pink in the Afternoon. So yeah, this look was like such a hot mess in the making, and somehow it came together. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I love making content for you guys, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.